Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Crooked Sticks, the community of conversation. I am your host, Gabriel Brown. Guys, here we go, part 2 of Uphill Battles. This was such a good interview, a lot of good stuff, and so I'm so excited for you guys to hear this. Again, now that you guys are listening, go ahead and tune in, lock into this message. I hope you guys can just relate to that. We oftentimes have our own versions of uphill battles, our own versions of struggles, but those struggles are meant to build our character. They're meant to stretch our faith in God. They're meant to transform us. And so, without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's get into it.
Everything you have said has been something I've been fighting my whole life, just kind of in my own path. But it's so crazy. You talked about like ROTC gave you a chance. So I'm gonna jump back 7 years. So I was 14. Over the summer, I went backpacking with my dad out in New Mexico. And
that's awesome.
we were out there for 10, 11 days. We did like almost 100 miles. Like it was a great experience. I loved it. And when
There we go.
when I came back, I started to develop what's called a walking gait. So when you walk, your feet, you're straight, and some people, they'll walk on the insides of their feet, they'll walk on the outsides of their feet.
You're talking like the pigeon foot thing? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
So like there's all different types of gaits, if you will, when you're walking. My left foot started to flare out like this. Like it literally just started to become like an increasing angle. And between September and October, I went from walking like normal to walking at a 90-degree angle. I literally, my left leg, and it was because I had pain in my knee, and I was like, my knee just hurts, but if I flare my foot out, it doesn't. So I started walking more and more until one day, it was Friday, it was homecoming weekend.
Oh man.
Freshman year of high school. And I got off the bus. I was waiting for my mom to pick me up, and I was standing there, and I was like, it was cold. So I was like running back and forth just to try and like keep warm. Cause like, it's just really windy that day, whatever.
It's brick outside.
And it was. And so I was doing like shuttle run sprints just to keep myself warm, like in this parking lot. No, like 100%, bro. You have no idea. Like and we had a dress code, bro. I was wearing slacks, a button-down shirt, a tie, a blazer, and an overcoat, bro. I was running in loafers, and like just to keep myself warm that day. And anyway, so my mom pulls up and she sees me, and she's like, "You look like you're just hobbling every step." And she was right. I was literally, it was like I was the Penguin from the like DC universe. Like I was walking. No, you have no idea.
Why he go in? Okay, keep going.
So she's like, we're going to the doctor. We're going to go get it checked out. There's something wrong with your knee. So we go to my local doctor, and we get an appointment. Like we walk in, and they're like, all right, well, we'll check it out. So the doc comes in with like 3, like new people who are trying to become doctors. And they're like, the doctor's just sitting in the corner having the students do like the exam. And I just remember like, I'm laying on the bed. They're like checking out my leg. They're checking out the other leg. And they're like, so I was like, yeah, what symptoms do you have? And I was like, oh, I had pain in my knee. And so they step out of the room. They're gone for like 30 minutes because they're all talking. And the doctor comes back in, and they're like, we think you have skiffy. And I was like, huh?
Yeah.
My mom was like,
I just had that reaction too.
Right. Skiffy. So SCFE. Skiffy stands for slipped capital femoral epiphysis. You can look it up on your own time. And I have a picture of kind of the aftermath, but we'll get to there. Basically, Skiffy is a condition that boys and girls in young teenage years, who are overweight, slightly active get. And what happens is in your hip joint, the ball and socket. So it's not a complete ball. The top half of that ball is your growth plate. And what can happen is that can like the femur itself can slip off of that growth plate. So it comes out of alignment. And that's what had happened. And it sometime in between getting back from that backpacking trip and like August or September when school was starting back up, something happened and then it just kept getting worse. And it was putting pressure on my knee. So it wasn't my knee hurting. It was deferred pain from my hip to my knee. Yeah. And then it caused me to flare my foot out. So they were freaking out because the med students were like, oh, we like, we're new. We're not even full doctors yet. We just diagnosed this kid with skiffy. The thing that's scary with skiffy is if it were to get worse, I could have lost my leg. Like, because like the blood flow through your bones, like if it would have slipped completely off, my leg wouldn't have had, like my entire left leg would not have from the hip down the blood flow, the blood supply to like keep my leg alive. And so like that was the extreme case. It could have just like stopped growing. So like my left leg would have been shorter than my right. And it could have just not gotten worse, but by running around, by walking on it every day, made it worse. That night, I went to 4 different hospitals to get x-rays and imaging, like whatever, and doctor's opinions. And it was 1 a.m. when the doctor was like, we want to take you to downtown Baltimore to Johns Hopkins to get you in surgery right now. The surgery there were a couple of different options. And the most minimally invasive one was to get a 6-inch screw put through the head of the femur and to screw it into the growth plate to stop it from moving.
And that was the least invasive? That
was the least invasive. Well, the incision in my leg, like the scar, it had to be big enough just for the head of the screw to go in. Oh, okay. So like in all things considered, the most invasive option, they opened my entire left side and reset my entire leg.
Oh, okay. Yeah,
and like that would have been from like mid thigh to like the middle of my side kind of thing. Cause they would have to go in and reset my leg into my pelvis basically. So my mom was freaking out. I had no idea what was going on because now I'm 14. I don't really know what's going on. And I didn't really understand the repercussions. So I'm kind of going to just zoom past this. We ended up having to sign a legal document saying we were going against medical advice to not go to the hospital, not get the surgery because my mom wanted to see what options I had. We do our research, figure out the screw is the best option, go back to Johns Hopkins, find out that the guy who is like the guy to do the surgery went to my high school. So he was like, oh, where you go to high school, kid? I was like, Archbishop Curley High School. He's like, oh, no way. I graduated from there. So It was like, I guess it was like I was looking back on it, kind of meant to be. So he did the surgery. The kind of funny part of it being the day before homecoming was the next morning I had shown up because we went home. And the next morning I want to go to homecoming. So I came to school in a wheelchair because they were like, don't walk on your leg. You'll make it worse. Yeah. So everybody's like, what the heck did you do last night on a Friday night? Everybody thought I partied too hard. And
I went crazy.
14-year-old me, spitting out slipped capital femoral epiphysis.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Caught that skiffy.
That's skiffy. Anyway, so yeah, I ended up getting the surgery a week or two later. Yeah. And they told me I couldn't run on my leg from the end of October till May. And that year was rough, like mentally for me. I was like, oh, I wanted to do sports when I got into high school. Cause I had played sports. I had played lacrosse, in middle school, especially up until 8th grade. So I wanted to play that or whatever. And I couldn't play. And then, and I guess I'm gonna jump back even a little further. I was, I don't know, 5'4", 5'5", 170, 180 pounds when I came into high school. By the time I graduated high school, I was 240, 250, 5'10", maybe. And so like for 4 years in high school, I just kind of, I gained 100 pounds in 4 years. And there was no muscle in any of that. And having that happen, gaining all that weight, I was like, wow, I'm being told at every doctor's appointment that I'm considered morbidly obese because I'm in the 150th weight percentile. That's why I was like, dude, everything you were saying, I was like, ringing so loud and clear. So when I got into High Point and I showed up beginning of freshman year, I was like, I want to do something because I know if I don't take it upon myself, it's not going to happen. So week 2 of freshman year, I called the coach of like the HPU track and field coach. Yeah. Cause I had done track my junior year and part of senior year before COVID hit. And I was like, hey, here are my marks. I'm nothing crazy. You don't even know I exist. I wasn't scouted. I just love to have a conversation about maybe getting on the team. So he put me in touch with the throws coach and he was like, all right, here's the deal. You have 20 forms you have to fill out. You can get them done by the end of the month. I'll let you join on a trial run basis. So I started filling out my forms. 2 days later, I ended up in quarantine for 16 days because my roommate, who was being moved into Millis because of an incident that happened at the beginning of freshman year, in the 2 days that I had gotten the forms and he had started moving out, his new roommate tested positive. And this is back when that like secondhand contact tracing stuff was going on. So he was like, not only did he have to quarantine, but he had to give all of his close contacts. So everybody in our like Belk suite had to quarantine. And then they messed up my start date. So I was in for 2 days longer than I had to be. I was in a hotel room without a key card, not able to leave my room with a window that didn't open for 16 days. And all I could do was lay in bed and eat food. So I came to college 250. I walked out of that room and I stepped on the scale and I was like 270, 275. And I was like, I gained that much just from sitting in a room. And that scared the crap out of me. But it didn't get better because I came back, I got an extension, got my paperwork filled out, did all my forms and stuff. I was able to start joining the team and it immediately started kicking my butt. I couldn't even go to practice really 5 days a week because of my schedule being the way that it was. Like I would have to show up to practice late. And like, I just couldn't go to all the lift sessions, whatever. I hit 305 last spring. Or like some point in my sophomore year, like it just wasn't getting better. And that day, like I was so scared to step on the scale. I didn't even know why at the time, but I was like, I've never wanted not to break that number in my life. Cause I started hanging out around 280 and then it was 285 and then it was 290, 295. And I was like, hold on, like this is really, but I wasn't putting that bowl of ice cream down like that. There were so many times where I was like, nah, I probably shouldn't. I did it anyway. I got to stop. I just couldn't. There was no control. And I hit 305, 304, 305. And it's just been such like a roller coaster for me to like know that I've put in a lot of effort. Like now I weighed in, I had a doctor's appointment today. I had to go get some physical paperwork filled out. And I was 284, I think. And they were like, man, you lost some weight. Like you lost like 20 pounds. And I was like, I mean, it's just my weight's been fluctuating because you were talking about all that dead weight. Yeah, there's just a lot of dead weight. And I've had a lot of issues with like eating and staying consistent about what I'm consuming, not even just foods, but like liquid. There were times I ended up going on like an all liquid diet because my schedule was so crazy. I couldn't do anything other than drink Jamba Juice, the protein shakes they would give us, water with like a vegetable powder. So I could get that and then just like straight water and maybe like Powerade or Gatorade or something. So I have struggled for so long. For me, there have been a lot of moments in time from when I was 14, when that injury happened, to hitting 305, where I was like, man, this is so bad. This is the worst. I hate myself. I literally could not wake up in the morning and not just like be disgusted by what I saw in the mirror.
Yep. I can attest to that completely.
It's just
awful.
Recognizing though that, now I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm starting to get fed up with myself just complaining all the time, that I'm starting to put in time and effort, and it's starting to show. Mm-hmm. I don't look the same I did when I showed up freshman year. I don't feel the same. I know I've definitely gotten stronger. Like, my coach jokes with me all the time because we do max testing at the end of every calendar year. Mm-hmm. And last year was a huge year for me because I hit 415 on squat for my 1 rep max. My bench was 210. My chest has always been harder for me. Like, I can't even really do a full push-up. I can't really do pull-ups, but I was like, I hit 210 and I was up from, the year previous. And my greatest achievement, which I knew I was nowhere close to when I showed up here, was deadlifting 615.
Wow.
And I was like, I did that. Mm-hmm. I put in the work. I showed up. My coach has always been flexible with me, and like, he's told me to prioritize my school because like I'm a walk-on. I'm not on scholarship. Like, I'm not on that trial run basis anymore. But he's like, no, you are the one athlete in my entire year, like 40 plus years of coaching, who I want them to pursue their academics and my music over this team. But like, we're getting to the point now where I've been getting better and been getting good enough that, if I can throw a little bit further, I might have a shot at the conference roster. And it's like that, getting onto the team and this guy taking a chance on me, like it sounds like the ROTC people did with you.
Oh yeah. Like, I can go into that deal in just a sec.
I'm sure you can. It's just like that moment for me has been the catalyst, maybe not the catalyst, but it has definitely been the I don't know the word I'm looking for, but it was definitely the vehicle for me realizing if I start putting in some real effort here and not just what I need to be doing at practice, if I really start taking care of myself better, I can start to do things that, even like people who do go to the gym every day, like not everybody can lift that much weight. Not everybody can do those things. But I am, and I need to give myself some credit, I think, for doing those. But it's definitely just been a really hard struggle. So, yeah.
It is awful. You get in this slightest negative idea or mood, and it doesn't go away. It just doesn't. It's so wild. Since I've lost a lot of weight, now it's so weird. I have energy that I shouldn't have, or like I wasn't used to having, which is so odd. Like I can sleep 3 hours and get up and be like, it's a beautiful day. I'm going to go outside. Like it's so weird. It's so weird. Like I shouldn't have that energy. But oh my gosh, no, I can attest to what James said. Like there was, especially going to doctor's visits when I was younger, they're like, hey bud, you look like you're getting diabetes pretty soon. I'm 13 years old. I should not have diabetes, And then like the weight charts, I'm like, there's no way, or so I can give one specific example. It just dawned on me. For football, we had to do, a physical every year, just to be like, all right, you're not going to die if we put you on the football field. And they were doing my blood pressure testing. And like the one lady does it and she's like, oh, it's just, I think the scale's reading high, whatever. Does it again. And it's like the same thing. I don't remember what the number was, but it was something that like, if it went a slight bit higher, I'm on the exact same level of people who are like hospitalized for it. And it was, I think like, honestly, it probably would have been, if I had done a couple of jumping jacks, it would have matched the pace or the rate of what it was. Like it was outstandingly high. They did it like 6 times. The number came back that way. Every one of the 6 times was like, oh, like 6 different machines. Like they rotated me. I was like, that's a problem, and oh my gosh. No, it was, I think the only thing that possibly could have got me out of that was essentially, just the total sudden shock of my life of, wow, if I don't follow this plan, I'm done for. Because I literally remember I came here for orientation because I was like, oh, you know, I'm going to High Point now. How cool. And I saw the ROTC table, you know, down in Slane. I was like, oh, I'm going to go say hi to these guys because I'm like, I'll be with them in like a year or two. And it wasn't students, which I found out pretty quick, but it was cadre. That's essentially like the Army teachers. They're like active duty, but they're on, it's part of their service. They're just essentially now teaching like the next generation, essentially, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And literally, when I told them that I was coming in the next class, like the lady looked at me and she goes, "You are?" Like eyebrow raised, everything. I'm sitting there like, "What do you mean? Like you have my information?" She was like, "Oh, didn't realize you were that big." I was like, well, that's not very good. And she's like, you should probably, you know, change that. And I was like, that was the first conversation I had in Army was like, "Hey bud, you're fat." I'm like, "Are you kidding me? Like I have scholarship and everything, really?" And then so that was tough. The rest of the orientation was great, but that was tough. But it was the truth I needed. Cause then I went back, over the summer and I was going on runs and I was like, you know what? No, you're not allowed to listen to music. And every single time, so I'll backtrack. I couldn't run half a mile, like straight. I couldn't, essentially I'd fall over and die. So I forced myself to do it. And then I'd be like, all right, then now you got to walk and run another half mile until I could end up running several miles on end. But every time I got tired or I wasn't making a pace, it would just be like, all right, no college for you. You can quit. You can quit if you want. You can quit if you want. And it, like, have you ever heard the David Goggins, like, you can't kill me. Like, you can't kill me when he's running. I didn't know he did that. However, now that I know he does it, I'm like, oh, I did that. But it was a total, like the telling yourself, oh, you can quit. You want to go to ACC with your friends? Like, how awesome would that be? I'm sitting there, you know, everything I know says no. So it was like, you know, sink or swim. And I was like, there's no way I'm choosing the other, but it was a total mind game. It was the only way to surpass it. It's just so wild. Yeah. James and I can go on this for forever. It's such a mental, cause even now with loose skin, that is a whole different beast. You don't realize how bad it is. Cause now I feel like, oh, you know, I'm muscular. I should have like the veins like all the other jacked kids have. And they're hidden because my skin is loose. Obviously, if you're listening to this, you can't probably see me, but I can pull the skin off my arm about 2 or 3 inches, even though I bench 275. I have a completely shredded back, like without doing the shout outs. It is the truth. Yeah. Like, it's so weird because like I take my shirt off, I'm still self-conscious, even though like it's completely solid. I know there's abs there. However, there's a little bit of loose skin. So no, we're not going to show the V line. I'm like, it's the worst. It really is. So it's so whack. It really hurts identity too, because I'm like, you're so proud of your accomplishments. And it's like, wow, I'm strong. I'm fit. But I'm not going to tell anyone. I don't look like it. Therefore, I mean, there's, I can go on about like the body positivity movement and like how it can be really damaging to people's brains. Yeah. But like, it totally ruined mine. I can't stand it. I'm sitting there like, I don't want to be told, no, you look good. And I'm like, shut up. I don't want to hear it. It's so bad on your identity and your brain. Cause even now I'm like self-conscious about stuff I shouldn't be self-conscious about. Like if I look at the progress, it's like, wow, that's a total different person. But I'll still look in the mirror like, what's up, chubby? Like there's no reason to think those things. Yep. There's no reason to think those things. I have next to no body fat on me and I will still think those things. And it's so weird. It just doesn't go away. It's crazy. It has a grip on you and it can really mess with your identity for forever, no matter if it's there, if it's not there. And it's the same with my little brother too, with my relationship with him, because when you have a history of something, you know how they always say history repeats itself. So, I mean, even if I don't repeat actions with him where I was, mean or bad, if I get him the slightest bit upset, like nowadays, this is the last thing I ever want to do. I never want him upset. The one goal I have is to be the role model big brother. So like he has a path to follow that's healthy and keeps him well. But like if the slightest thing goes wrong, I can shut off a chain reaction that's so terrible that will like shoot him the exact opposite way I want. Just because like, of course he has the current memory, or like the present memories of me being awesome. But if I so much as bring up the past, it's like, that's like 8 years of torture to him of being just a total bully compared to like the 2 years I've been good. So it's like, it ruins your identity with people. Cause they're like, I remember how you were. Like, that's great that you're different now, but are you not different? It's, it can totally throw your identity. It's such a pain. I'm laughing, but it's the truth.
I hear it in your voice. Yeah. So I guess thank you guys for sharing that, by the way.
Yeah, no worries.
That was good. I wrote 2 things down.
Yeah, that's true.
At the beginning of like what I was gonna do for the episode. I was praying about it, and we just hit both of them, which is really cool.
Nice.
So
High five.
The first one was uphill battle, which I think, no pun intended, but I do think God had the sense of humor. I'm not gonna lie.
Dude, I swear, every single time I need a message in church and the pastor says something, I'm like, come on, come on.
It's a little too close.
Yeah.
It's a little too close.
Or I'd be like mad at my parents, and the pastor's like, and today's lesson is love thy parents.
Oh yeah.
I don't want to.
Yeah.
They just took my Xbox away. I don't want to do this.
Oh man.
No, I'm sorry. But
No, like that's really cool though. I always wonder how episodes are gonna turn out, because I'm usually just given like a word or like an idea of some things, and it's just I just gotta manage the conversation and just see how things flow.
Yeah.
Y'all handled that beautifully. I wanted to ask, so we touched on the uphill battle portion, which, I mean, you guys are completely different people, whether or not you realize it, simply because of you having to endure things that maybe half people in the whole world won't have to endure, maybe more than that, right? And like, maybe your reasons or like your motivations internally might have been like different, and maybe like more to like who you guys are in your core. But I mean, at the end of the day, that's an uphill battle, and y'all been climbing for a minute. So, I mean, at least from me, it might mean something. It might not mean anything, but I'm with that, bro. Keep climbing for real. That's what's up. Y'all got to keep climbing that, because mountains go up. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You can't climb down. So y'all got to keep going with that.
No, I understand that. It's so weird. So another funny thing about the Army is they like the BMI standard, the body mass index. Yeah. Which obviously I can go on a little rant because that's what I'm kind of about to do. But so my birthday was the 12th. I did the Army physical fitness test on the 13th. So sorry, a day after. I did a little mental math right there. It took me a sec.
Carried a one.
Okay, we're good. No, but so on April 13th, I did the Army's like physical fitness test. It's like the big one that you have to do. Yeah. And because I've been so dedicated, like, gym, lost weight, all that sort of stuff. I've been so dedicated to the point where I'm like, I have to be the best one on this. Like, it's not good if I'm not. And I have been consistently for quite a while now. Yeah. Like, I just refuse to let anyone pass me. And so I did it real recently. I got the highest score that my battalion's ever seen. Like it's off the charts to like the level they want me to do like special competitions for them and everything, because it's like, wow, there's like 15 other guys on the East Coast who have scored your score. So like, you're doing good essentially. Yeah. And all the while I get in the next day knowing I have like the best score. Like North Carolina, I'm like rank 1 for the fitness. On the East Coast, there's there's a 15-way tie because we all maxed it. It's the highest you can get.
Yeah.
But there's only like 15 guys ever on East Coast who have done it for our Army ROTC. I'm one of them. Like it's so hard to do. It's really rare, right? And I go in this last Tuesday, so I think now that 18th, 19th, and they come in, they're like, hey, we need to do height and weight testing. I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. Because normally just like, all right, you weigh this much weight and you are this tall. Just to put it on your scorecard, just to then keep track of everyone. Because like, who knows, there might be 2 Bob Billies. I don't know. Yeah. So there's 1, there's 2. And I go in and they're like, oh yeah, you're overweight on the test. I'm sitting here like, what do you mean I'm overweight? Yeah. Did I not just show you I'm like the most physically fit kid? Like, are you serious? Yeah. Are you serious? I'm overweight right now. Like, there's no way. Like, yeah, you're about 20 pounds over. Are you kidding me? Wow. I'm like, what do you want me to do? Vaporize my muscle? Would that help my test? So then I had to go special place, go get like, it's called taped, with like, they literally get a tape measure, like go around your waist, go around your bicep, go around your neck, your belly, to like get your measurements. And then like they do the BMI test. And it was like absolutely ridiculous. I'm like, am I ever going to win this battle? Oh shoot, who's the Greek guy's like cursed to hold the stone, keep rolling it up, but
Atlas,
it never goes up. Atlas.
Right?
Yes, yeah.
Oh no, he's holding the globe. It's
who's the guy who's pushing the stone up the mountain? You know who I'm talking. We know who I'm talking about though.
Sisyphus, is it? It might be Sisyphus.
You know who I'm talking about?
Yeah, Gabe? He rolls the stone all the way up, and then as soon as he gets to the top,
never get it to the top.
It falls back down. He's got to restart.
Yeah, like he's cursed to do that his entire life.
I don't know who it is. It might not be Sisyphus.
Boulder up the hill.
Yeah. Is it Atlas?
Sisyphus.
Oh,
it is
okay.
Nice.
I know something.
No,
I guess.
but I was, for the first time in like months, I literally just sat there after being told I had to go do that. I'm sitting there in my car like, are you kidding me? Like it felt like I literally created this beautiful sandcastle in a wave that was 100 feet away. Managed to just go, no, and just swipe everything. I was literally sitting there in the car like, what is this? Like, am I ever going to win this? Yeah. Like I've done everything and yet no. Like it's so demoralizing. I'm like, yeah, what am I supposed to do, man? Like, what do you want from me? It's so weird because I figured by now that would all be gone and it still haunts me. And it's crazy. There goes your identity. There's your uphill battle. You're never going to escape it. Once a big kid, always a big kid. Regardless of if it's all muscle, if it's all fat, it's crazy.
It's the BMI index is something I talk like anytime I talk about like my weight, my uphill battle. And it's like, yeah, I scored, I told you 150th percentile, whatever crazy number. Cause like I'm really the same metric cause I'm 6 foot 285. Right. So, it's one of those things where it is the health metric that is used because it is the only one that exists.
Unfortunately.
Now, right. You would think somebody could come up with a new metric. And honestly, I'm not a big numbers guy. Like math has just never been my strong suit. And kind of that's the thing about like, well, then what is a good definition about being healthy? Because I don't think there's really anything that could be said against you living your life the way that you're doing now. Like you have put in the time, the effort, and you have the determination, and you said, I'm going to do this, and you did it. And you're still being haunted because you're not 170. And it's like, well, why do I need to be 170?
Yeah. I'm like, what the heck, man?
Steven, you look great. And I know that feeling of like, it's never enough. And you are continued to be judged by a scale that should have no bearing on how you should live your life because absolutely it doesn't matter. And people all over the world say that it's a stupid metric. But we all go back to it. And that's that kind of that negative feedback loop you were talking about. It's like, it goes back into that. It's just every time. So
it's true with so many things too. I mean, I feel like it's the reason I need the Lord in my life so badly, because otherwise I'd literally sit here empty, like open palmed, empty handed. Like, what am I doing? Like, forget everything I've tried. It's crazy because, well, everyone will know, like, that's pretty silly. That's pretty stupid. And then at the end of the day, it's like, well, sorry, bud, you didn't make it because this number said so. It's like, have you ever heard the Einstein quote of judging a fish by its ability to climb a tree? Mm-hmm. It's like, what? Yeah. It's the same with like the education system. Right. It's a funny quote, but it's the truth.
Yep.
Because there's this photo and it's a bunch of animals lined up, next to a tree. There's a fish in a fishbowl, like an elephant. Then there's a monkey, of course. And obviously you can kind of take a guess which one's going to get up the tree. If you've gone to school before, it kind of helps to know.
Or you just know animals. Or you just know animals. Basic animology. I don't know why I said it like that. But
no, but it's the truth. Yeah. And it's the same, like I know it's the same.
There's that word.
Yo, bro. I'm gonna go fix the camera. Y'all keep talking.
No. But it's crazy because I know it's the same case with some of my buddies. Like, so me respective with weight and weight loss and all that good stuff. That was mine. But I know, like, with my friends and like it can also be attested to so many different things. Like, for example, the school system. Because I know my buddy. His name's Luka Rudick. I love this man. I swear he's my bet. If I can wish the best for anyone on this earth, if I could like grant someone $1 billion, it's him. Like, he's getting it. Yeah. That man's been through thick and thin with me. But he has, like, I wouldn't say crippling ADHD and ADD, but it's pretty bad. And he refuses to take the pills and stuff for it because he's like, I think the medication is just doping me up and I don't like it. Right. I don't think it's healthy for me. But like throughout school, every teacher would just completely dismiss the kid because they were just like, oh, he's not the conventional method of being smart and ready and able for school. But, I knew this kid, he and I would go camping. He and I would go hang out in the woods. He and I would go do stuff. And he's a genius. He's a genius when it came to anything with his hands, anything. But because school didn't like him and be like, oh, you get a D on this test. Just because he was like, he had trouble being able to focus and read a several page passage and then write an essay on it. But at the same time, I'm like, if you need, like, say your car were to get damaged and you need one kid in this building to fix it, he will do it. He will do it 10 times better and probably cheaper than a mechanic. But yet, because he's not conventional, he's labeled as, a dumb kid. Right. And it's wild to me. There's too many things that it's like your identity doesn't conform perfectly to it, and therefore it doesn't count. Whereas if you weren't,
that's good. If your identity doesn't conform perfectly to,
and therefore you're dismissed. Yeah. When it shouldn't be that way in the slightest, because I think everyone has some sort of value to them, whether they believe it or not. Yeah. Everyone brings something to the table. That's what the Lord wants you to do. Yeah. So it's wild to me because I know people who, I listened to it forever. I was like, no, I'm fat, I'm worthless. I know so many people that, in a respective environment of theirs, they have the same. And it's like, if only you knew how valuable or what you bring to the table, but just because it's slightly different than what someone wants of it, or like what then the norm says about it, you're just dismissed. It's the same with my little brother. I can go with, because he's I love him. Total dweeb sometimes. Loves video games. Total dweeb. I love him. But like, he was totally dismissed in sports for like the longest time. Yeah. Like, kids are like, yeah, you like to draw in class. And you like, he'd be sitting there. That drawing. Was me, bro. He'd be sitting there, but like,
that was literally me, bro.
I can show y'all photos. He's like actually really, really good at drawing. And he loves, there's a couple anime shows he loves, and he's happy to share about them, happy to talk about them, just loves his video games. He's incredible at video games. I'm talking like wins several $1,000s in tournament good.
Oh, that's fire.
But like, kids are like, this kid's a total dweeb, total nerd, like forget him. And secretly he has some crazy athletic ability. He doesn't talk about it. And like coaches would dismiss him on teams and stuff. And he'd be like, oh yeah. Like you want to see something crazy. And so now he's like a national rugby prospect. However, we had 3 teams dismiss him for him to play there. Cause the kids are like, those kids are dork. Like, why let him play? It's actually ridiculous. Cause I know, cause for the longest time, I didn't help. I was a bully. But for like the longest time, he just thought he was worthless. And I had come home it was last Christmas. No, sorry. It was this Thanksgiving. It was this Thanksgiving when I'd gone back home. Mm-hmm. He and I were in the car and we were driving around, and I had said something. I don't remember what I had said to him, but he and I were kind of talking just like how life at home had been like when, while I'm gone. Yeah. Him and mom and dad. And he would kind of tell me like every once in a while, like mom and dad will gang up on him just because there's no longer like the 2v2, two brothers, two parents. So we can kind of like, if there's a clash, it's like a 2-on-2. Yeah. So at least like someone can have each other's side. And, obviously I'm not going to say he's always in the right when he gets in an argument with him, but at least there was someone to back him up. Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, he'd get in that and he'd get a little depressed. But the thing was, I was there normally to help him kind of weed it out. Mm-hmm. And like now it was to the point where like he and I continue this conversation, and as it went, he had said something silly and I like tried to make fun of him for it. Which I now realize total wrong thing I should have done, because he had started to get real vulnerable. And when I had made fun of him, that, like I had said earlier, it like pulled the trigger that just everything went back. Mm-hmm. And immediately is he essentially confessed to me that he still believed his identity was that of like the dork nerd kid who's like just like everyone kind of overlooked. Yeah. And on the car ride home, like he eventually like he started sobbing because he's like, mom and dad don't like me. I'm a failure because I don't live up to like what your standards were. And I'm sitting there as the older brother, like, what have I done? Mm-hmm. Like, did I really mess him up? It's because like I didn't help him. And then I confirmed his identity was, you're worthless. You're never going to live up to your brother's standard. Mm-hmm. And now while if I see him, the only thing I want to do is wrap my arms around him, mm-hmm. because he was slightly different than what, people may have say, and I didn't help it. Mm-hmm. It like he now thinks his identity is that, when I'm like, no, you're so much more, but I can't be the one to tell him it, because I was the one who kind of started it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like it's such a pain. And I see it with so many people. It's like, or there's a One Direction song. It's like, you don't know you're beautiful. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I feel like from God's perspective, that's a very, very, very big problem with probably 99% of humanity. Mm-hmm. It's like, you don't know what I planned for you. Mm-hmm. And because of that, or not because of that, but like, and you don't have the faith in me that I did that for you. And therefore you start to fall. And like, if only you knew how beautiful you were in his eyes. It's crazy. But I feel like there's stuff to be said that I really do. Because it's like, if only you knew your worth. Like, don't let people define who you are. Because I let it happen for the longest time. And I joke, I was on an 18-year bulk. But like, you know what I mean? The same joke. I've made that joke before. No, but it's like, it was so bad. Like, and then I'd be cool with being called names, like, a little more vulgar. I'm not gonna say them on the podcast, but like, it was so bad. It was so bad. And I'm sitting there like, there's no way this is what I'm here for. Yeah. I'm not here to get bullied by my friends. Like, there's no way. And if more people could kind of put the phone down, put their head up and look around and just like take in the serenity of like, maybe there's more to life than what I think. I don't know. I think there's a lot more worth that people have, and it really hurts. And everyone has an uphill battle. They really do, depending on what, and there's most people have several, but
everyone has an uphill battle. Mm-hmm. I like that. Y'all, thank you guys for listening to Crooked Sticks, the community of conversation. It's been a pleasure, guys. We will be dropping another episode, not this next Wednesday, but the Wednesday after. All right, every other Wednesday posting schedule. But until then, be sure to check out our Instagram, our YouTube, give us a follow, and share this podcast with your friends, someone you think might enjoy it. And may the Lord's peace be with you. All right, y'all, stay encouraged. Peace.